Hey, yes, it's me. I'm not dead yet, only working my ass off is all. Doing mostly fine though, thanks for asking. Been playing a lot of Elden Ring, the game which got the award for Best Multiplayer Game of 2022. I'm not feeling existential dread from that award whatsoever. Nope, none. Absolutely deserved. But putting my own feelings aside for a moment, I recently got myself some badass footage, so I wanted to make a video about it. Now, as you can see, this is my level 1 plus 0 character. And this is something I always do in these games. I go through the game normally first, and then I start working on a level 1 guide that I can use to mule items, save some builds, get to specific areas for recording purposes, stuff like that. And right now, the only obstacle in my way is this next boss here. So let's quickly see how hard it's gonna be. Yeah, I want to die. The GODSKIN duo is by far the hardest boss in Elden Ring, and yes, I do think they're harder than Malenia, for the simple reason that Malenia is carefully designed around her high difficulty. The GODSKIN duo isn't designed around her end difficulty. The Noble and the Apostle individually are great bosses, with fun moves to learn and the correct amount of aggression to keep the player aware of their threat at all times. But for some godforsaken reason, FromSoft really did be like, hey, let's put these two strong enemies together, give them endgame damage, not tune their aggression to a fight that divides the player's attention, make it so they revive each other when one is finally killed, and the cherry on top, make this a mandatory boss for progression because hey, it's Miyazaki, no one's gonna complain. Well, I'm complaining. This fight is a horrible piece of design. Even if you're completely stacked with damage, armor, health, and spirit summons, this fight still sucks balls. So you can imagine how fun it is having to go through it at level 1, when even the smallest mistake means a reset. And yeah, I knew this was gonna be a pain in the ass going in. So after I got fed up with having my ass kicked, I started to brainstorm. What can I do to make this easier? My first idea was bleed, as it would deal a ton of damage to the main health bar regardless of how much damage I was not doing. Problem is that bleeding them with weapons means getting up close and personal, which is less than ideal. So my next thought was, if proximity is the problem, then I just need to get some range. In the patch I was playing, there was this unique interaction between Bloodflame Blade and Glint Blade Phalanx, which would build up a lot of bleed very fast. The problem here is that my already tiny FP bar was slowly being drained, getting me more anxious, which means more mistakes. At this point, it had been a few weeks of no progress whatsoever, so I decided to try being a degenerate, and I started to employ Rotten Breath to see if that would help. Bizarrely enough, this spell goes through the pillars if you can cast it at an angle, which is a nice tactical advantage that's rendered useless when the noble can just run right up to you and smack you across the face when you can't move. And even if you can't find the room to Scarlet Rod both of them, it's not enough to kill them in one proc. You need to proc it more times when once was already a miracle, and proccing Scarlet Rot with a weapon wasn't that much better. By now I was getting so desperate that I resorted to a fully ranged setup and shooting hundreds of arrows at these two dipshits. Proccing Poison and Scarlet Rot from a distance did prove to be more consistent, but now the problem was surviving long enough for the status effects to catch up to them, which ended as well as you'd expect when my defense is as high as my self-esteem right now. Having exhausted just about everything in my arsenal, I was on the verge of losing my goddamn mind, until I had a stupid idea. Summoning Bernal was never in my plans because he would increase the boss's HP, making this take even longer. But number 1, Bernal can heal himself and deal high poison damage with his hammer, and number 2, I thought, well, it can't be that much worse than shooting a billion arrows at them, right? So I did a couple runs, and I noticed that, against all the odds, this strat was consistent. I just needed to pull my weight a little bit more to help him. So this was it. I had finally decided what the plan would be. I would have one of them slapped on a corner with Sentry and a sword, and use a single bleed and super rapier to repeatedly proc status on the other one, while Bernal would take most of the damage. And even with all that, it's still a tightrope from start to finish. Would this actually work if I just persisted long enough for the stars of RNG to align? Well, only one way to find out. And with that, this challenge is done. And no, I will not be fighting any more bosses past this point because killing Malakath buries lying down in ash, and I'd rather it be unburied. Thank you all for watching this nonsense, and for those waiting for more Bloodborne, that is coming. I just needed to use this simpler project to get the hang of this new editing software now that I'm not using Premiere anymore. That's about it then. I'll see you guys next time.